this is Kirsten from JK Fiber Arts. Doing something totally different. I've been trying to be a lot more involved in social media, which is not really my strong point, but I have made some really awesome, fun connections with people, and I have this beautiful fiber. This is from a hand dyer in Canada, and it's Nina. And I've been looking at her stuff on Instagram. We've been, kind of chatting back and forth, and I'm always telling her how I love her stuff. But, the shipping from Canada, I live in America, and it typically cost prohibitive. And then I saw this gorgeousness, and I could not resist. And I bought it, and I just am so happy with the colors. It's just gorgeous. And she had a little sample of it spun up on her Instagram, and I was hooked. I love all things sunflowers. So this is a duo, she calls it a double take. And so it's 200 grams. There's two skeins, two separate chains here. This is sunflowers and this is blue skies. So it's called Sunflowers and Blue Skies. And along with my international theme, I also, once I purchased this, was in the comment section talking about how, I can't wait and I need to find the perfect project. This wonderful lady who is soon to be opening her yarn shop in Germany offered up a pattern, and so I went to Ravelry, and it's in German, and I purchased it, and she offered to translate it for me. I do not speak German, but the pattern is called Weites Meer, and it is on Ravelry, and I now need to figure out how to spin this. In addition, I'm gonna need some more yarn. The shawl, it's gonna require 11 ounces. So this is, these are 100 grams each. So this is 7 ounces. So I need 4 more ounces. And this pattern, I think, needs a more solid contrasting color. I don't really like any of my just straight up solid, so I think what I'm going to do is drum card a semi-solid, and then I'm going to do a knit along. So I'm going to spin this up a sport weight yarn, and it's going to be amazing. First thing I am going to do is look into my substantial blending stash and decide on a semi-solid contrasting color. Absolutely, it's going to be drum carded with my white alpaca that I've hand processed, and then I'm going to find another color to go with that. I have some thoughts. So my semi-solid color, I didn't want to just go solid because I have a lot of, it's just so bright. I wanted to make it a less bright color. I suppose I could just do an undyed neutral, but I'm a fan of all things color. So yellow, I can blend a yellow with a white, and it'll make it sort of a cream colored. And that might be very nice, and pick all this stuff up. This wonderful, this is 18 micron, this is really nice. Green, which I was gonna make it a lighter green. And I thought that might be nice because there's not as much green in here, and the green would complement all these colors. So a nice light green, I was sort of leaning towards that. But also green's my favorite color, so I am biased. And then this blue, also, there's not a ton of blue in here. There's just the two areas. So maybe lightening this up would be a really nice contrast. I'm going to divide this braid up for spinning the first bobbin, these two braids up, and spin the first bobbin, and then I'm going to get my drum carder out and I'm going to blend some of these colors and see what I think. The first thing I'm doing is just making some space here. I'm going to 2-ply, so I'm just going to split both of these in half. Here's the first one in half, And then I'm going to split this one in half. And then I am going to decide how I want to break this up. So here I have half of each of these. So if I just spin this straight, each one, end to end straight, the halves, then apply them together. Let's see. This is a little rough and ready here, but let's see what I think. You know, wow, that looks quite awesome. Let's continue that on and see if I like the way all these colors kind of come together. Yeah, I am loving this. The reason I split these into half is because I don't want like the giant color repeats. I could even just split this into quarters and have shorter color repeats, which I might do. The other option is to divide for a fractal spin. Onina Fibers, boy, she is amazing. She really knows what she's doing with these colors. I mean, seriously. It's hard for me to stop seeing how gorgeous this is. I think, you know, so the other option is to do a fractal spin, and fractal spin this, and then spin 2-ply those together. All right, I'm gonna divide these in half again and see what I think. So now this is a quarter of each of the braids. I'm gonna see how, if I still like this blending effect here. And again, this is very rough and ready, but it's gonna give me at least an idea of how these colors are gonna blend. So, well, that's obviously gorgeous. Those large areas of blue are quite stunning, and when I divide it into quarters, we'll get that blue more equally distributed throughout the yarn. So I think that really gives us a good pop of color in between there, because there's long sections without that bright blue where it's a little more muted. So I've thought about this, and I think now I have my answer. I like what the blue does. So I am going to divide these. I'm going to divide the one with the bright blue in it one more time into halves. I'm gonna leave this one as is, and the blues we're gonna repeat more frequently through, and I think that's gonna give me a more equally distributed blue throughout. That's my plan. So I'm going to take the blue one and divide it up into, well, ultimately it's eighths. And then this one I'm gonna do in quarters, and that's how I'm gonna spin it. This is what the final breakdown looks like. Each of these was a 100-gram comb top Polwarth, and the one on the left here, my left, is divided into eighths, and this one is divided into quarters. I did that for the shorter repeats because I want to try to distribute the blue throughout. It's going to be sport weight. And in addition to this, I'm going to make 4 ounces of a contrasting color. The colors that I'm considering here, obviously the blue, the green, and I'm going to lighten those and do a little drum carder sample here. And then the yellow, whoops, that yellow had a big long tail. Yellow. These are all going to be blended with white. I'll show you how to turn something solid to change the tint of it by adding white through the drum carder, and you'll see the difference. It'll give me like a semi-solid, which I think will look really nice with this, and I would like to mute this. The question is which color of green. I think automatically not this green. I think it's going to be more of this green, which is a grass green. All right, well, let's get to it and see what we get. I am ready to make some semi-solid colors here and just change the tint of this blue. I have this 23 micron merino comb top, and I have this, which is carded alpaca that I hand processed. And I'm just gonna do a little sample here. This is 10 grams, and I'm doing this also so I can get a ratio so that I can reproduce it in a larger scale. let's try a 2-to-1 here with this. So I am going to start by putting the blue and white together. And again, this is a 2-to-1 ratio. And I'm probably gonna end up having to run this through 2 or 3 times. And I'm just gonna start by doing this. And then I'm gonna put the blue where the white was and the white where the blue was. And we'll see how we do. I might need more fiber just because this is such a tiny amount. It might not even blend that well. We'll see. And I'm going to put more white in the middle. I'm going to divide this last little bit up to blue and blue. And again, when you are drum carding, you're just kind of laying it here. Don't hold it with your hand or try to guide it in. You just want to keep it inside those wooden pegs. And now I have a little burnisher brush here. And if you remember, this is a woolen prep when you use the drum carder. There we go. When you have the woolen prep, the fibers are all willy-nilly misaligned, which is, so it doesn't matter what direction you put these in onto the carder. What I'm gonna do is probably break these up into chunks and probably put them in the opposite direction, just to get them to blend as best I can here. And I just hold my hand up on the pins, and I'm kind of using my front hand against the pins, my back hand. I'm kind of pulling it like ponytail, like I'm making a ponytail. And so now here we have the skunk stripe. You can see that. So it's not really blended yet. So let's keep going. Let's do the same thing again, using the doffer. Just gonna make sure you get all the fibers up here. Just trying to get this little piece on the edge here. I do not recommend you do this. In fact, I have a tool for that. I just used my doffer because it was there. Don't do that. It can bend your pins. This is that do as I say, not as I do moment. No. All right. And you can see that this is starting to get a little more blended. I'm going to keep blending this. I'm going to put through another pass or two here. This is the end of that third pass. And you can see now I'm really starting to get that nice variegation. The blue is starting to fade. I think I'll do one more pass here, and I'm just gonna take some of this excess off. And I'm just gonna pass it through again. I was lazy, I didn't clean it in between. You should clean it in between. I was like, it's all the same color, I'll just leave it on there, but it didn't do me any favors. This is the fourth time through the carder. All right. Here we have the semi-solid. And then this was the original blue. And you can see I've made it a lot lighter. And I could add more white to it and make it even lighter. I might do that. I'm gonna see, so this is a 2-to-1 ratio of blue to white. maybe I would go 50-50 and see, but I'm gonna do a 50-50 with the green and see if I like that. This is going to be the 1-to-1 ratio with green. And one of the wonderful things is the difference between the carded bat preparation, which was what this was, and the top. These are the same. These are both 13 grams. And the top obviously looks like so much less than all of this alpaca, but it is so airy and light and fluffy that it is the same. For this one, I'm going to stick more to the middle of the carder. At least I'm going to try. Yeah. And I'm going to burnish here. Get that first layer really compacted down. And you want to make sure that you get all the fibers, and you don't want to take too big of a bite. I usually am taking, around. This is our second pass through. Here we have the blended, tinted, semi-solid colors that I am considering spinning for this shawl. The green is 1-to-1 ratio of the merino to the alpaca. The blue is 2-to-1 blue to alpaca. And then this one, which I really like the lighter color, I think I might end up going to 2-to-1. This is 2-to-1 alpaca to the color. And you can see that the changes in these, you know, here it is nice and toned down, a very nice light yellow color. The blue one is the one that changed the least because this is 2 blue to 1 alpaca white ratio. And then I really like the green too. This is the 1-to-1 ratio. This is a very rudimentary test. I just took 2 of the pieces of roving and just sort of very loosely twisted them together here. And I'm gonna decide, let's see, I'm gonna do it with separate sections here and see what contrasting color I think would look the best. I wanted to show you what I ended up doing. This is the 2 alpaca to 1 of the blue merino, and this is what this looked like when I started here. So I went from this to this, and then here is the, I'm going to use that as the contrast color in this. I think that's going to look really nice. I know, I totally went the other way. I threw the blue off, and then once I thought about it, I was like, nope, I think the blue is the answer. So I'm going with the blue. And then just to give you a full idea of the different tints, this was the 2 blue merino to 1 alpaca, and this is 2 alpaca to 1 blue merino. And then here's the original blue. The only other thing I wanted to point out is you may notice I have some neps in my blend. That is because my alpaca that I processed, it's very, very fine and wonderful, very soft alpaca, and my drum carder is not for super fine fibers. It's for fine fibers. And so when I drum card on it, it will break it a little bit. And it's not a big deal for what I'm doing here, but that's why I do typically comb my alpaca and make comb top. But I was in a hurry and I hadn't processed any of this. I literally processed all of this today. I wanted to just get it done. So I'm not too worried about the neps, but that's why they're there, because I'm breaking it in the drum carder, because it's not designed to handle the super fine fiber. And this is some glorious alpaca that I have here, and I still have a whole bunch of it left to wash and prep, so I'll comb the rest of it. But this I carded And you'll see in here, there's not as many neps this was just through the drum carder twice. And the more times I put it through when I'm blending, the more it starts to break and you get the neps. But that's why that happens, at least that's why it's happening in this instance. I am going to make one more bat. This is just shy of 3 ounces. I will see you next time, and I will show you how to spin this yarn up for the Weites Meer shawl, which I'm super excited about. I think that this is going to give me a really wonderful looking shawl. I will see you next time. Here's a little sneak peek of the finished yarn. Until then, spin happy.